Frumess talks about Halloween, Halloween, Halloween. Let's all talk about Halloween, Silver Shamrock.
Okay, Meg to the Trench. This is directed by Ben Wheatley. Ben Wheatley has made a lot of genre films. He did High Rise. He's most famous for Kill List, which has a great twist ending. If you've never seen it, Kill List is must watch. He also did he did A Field in England, which is very interesting, very cerebral. And he did what's that movie where they're all in a warehouse shooting at each other with guns? I forget what that's called. Free something. And yeah, Ben's an interesting genre filmmaker. And for some reason, he was given the reins of Meg 2. I enjoyed the first Meg. It's a lot of fun. You know, most of the time, you know, every shark movie is just a ripoff of Jaws. Like, it'll never be done better than Jaws, but they can be fun, man. They can be fun in their own right. I feel like the key to making a really good shark film, or at least something that I want to see in a shark film that we do get in this movie, is more a human versus human conflict. Like, I appreciate man versus shark, but like, sharks can be utilized in so many other ways. Like, the shark could be the catalyst for conflict between two groups of people. And I just feel like that's the premise that's not utilized enough. It's kind of done here. I don't think Ben Wheatley wrote this movie. He might have. I mean, we could check. I'm just being really lazy right now. Let's check. Let's see who wrote this. I don't think Ben wrote it. It was written by Dean Georgaris, Erich Hoeber, and Jon Hoeber. And by the way, the other movies that Ben had, Free Fire, that's what it's called. Free Fire. I didn't know he made a version of Rebecca, the Hitchcock movie. I got to check that out. High Rise, I mentioned. Sightseers, that's the other one. I think that was his first movie, right? He did something for ABCs of Death as well. So he's made a lot of genre stuff. People love him. People love Ben Wheatley. I don't mind him. I was really happy that he directed. I was totally happy that he directed Meg 2. Which, by the way, the synopsis here is an exploratory dive into the deepest depths of the ocean of a daring research team spirals into chaos when a malevolent mining operation threatens their mission and forces them into a high-stakes battle for survival. And that's what really the movie is for the first hour. And then then we get like all the real shark stuff in the back end. And for that reason, for that plot mention, this movie totally feels like it's turning into a franchise that is in the same vein as Fast and Furious. And frankly, I'm all here for it. You know, maybe by the fifth movie, they'll be in outer space. So who knows? But I mean, that's really what kind of happens. You have this and you could tell the movie had international financing, which is great. I love internationally financed movies because you get really interesting international perspectives. You know, you could tell that this movie had some Chinese money injected into it in a good way. I think it's wonderful. When movies are sort of joint productions like that, you just get such a variety of interesting actors and people. And I don't know, the movies are always like, another great example of that is the Snowpiercer, man. Snowpiercer is an international movie, and like you got so many different people in that movie. It's really great. In any case, what was I saying here? So here's a perfect example of mindless fun that you can enjoy without straining a single brain cell. That's right. When I was watching this movie, my brain was turned off. I kept the one thing I kept thinking in my head while watching this movie after a very hard news week is why aren't there more sharks? Like, there's not enough sharks. And then eventually we get them. We get some more shark action, and when we get to the bottom of the trench where this mining operation is taking place, the malevolent mining operation, after they've done this like deep sea diving down there, and they're in these weird like strength suits, like these Iron Man type suits that allow them to walk on the bottom of the ocean. And suddenly they've opened up the Meg world, which I think is really the smartest thing to do. Because again, like I said, if they do franchise, I mean, there's so many places to go. They have like dino lizards that can swim, miles under the water, but also like walk on land. You have the Megs running around. You have these like eels, and you even have giant octopuses, man. And it's fun. It's great. It's so hard not to laugh and giggle with amusement as you watch the sequel, because I don't know, Ben Wheatley just like goes balls to the wall with it. He has been, listen, he hit some of his later films that we were talking about earlier. They are kind of hit and miss, man. Some of them, like, I wasn't a big fan of Free Fire, and High Rise I thought was kind of a nothing burger. But I really think he's found a new groove with Meg 2, The Trench. Bob Rose, who's on the channel from time to time, he proclaims, this is what he proclaims about Bruce in the movie Jaws. He says that Bruce is not a shark, but rather a monster. And so, as Bob Rose proclaims about Bruce in Jaws, these Megs are not sharks, but rather monsters that have to be fought and killed. And Jason Statham channels Arnold Schwarzenegger in Last Action Hero without a single ounce of self-awareness. So this movie is, the thing about Last Action Hero, it's like a super meta movie, even though people didn't like it at the time. Last Action Hero is completely aware of what it is doing. This movie is doing the same thing as Last Action Hero, but is not aware that it's doing it at all. And it's great. It is a parody of every like goofy action trope. The movie is so serious in its attempt to jump the proverbial shark and expands its spectrum of creatures, including the dino lizards that I mentioned, as well as the giant octopus. We do the one thing that does kind of suck, and I said, we don't get the shark, and we don't really get shark action until the second half of the movie. So we lose the focus of the Meg because we're getting all this extra stuff. But ultimately, I think it's worth it. And I hope they just keep making these movies, and just watching Jason just like he single-handedly kills a Meg shark. It's so goofy. It's so dumb in the best kind of way. I really can't. I recommend this one a lot. Very much. It's streaming on Max, aka HBO, and I gave it 3.5 stars. Go watch Meg 2, The Trench right now. Just want to see real quick. Rebecca. Huh. Oh, and it's on Netflix? How did I miss this? I'm adding this to my watch list. Okay, good to know.